Hello guys, welcome. This is Abdulkarim from CodesideAcademy.com. Today we'll continue our Flask course. So we'll be talking about session cookies today. So what is cookies? Cookies is just a way of storing user information after logging in to your website. The user login, once the user log into your website, you want them to be able to get their information, display welcome, so person. So mostly cookies are saved into the DOM, to your front end, but session can save into the back end. So today we'll be talking about session, and we'll be using something, a Flask extension. So what do we mean by Flask extension? In our first intro, the overview of this course, we talk about the overview of Flask. So, and I hope we are all aware that Flask has something called Flask extension. So an extension in Flask is just a kind of a new form, a new tool that give Flask more features to perform different activities and more features, so that the developers can do more with Flask. So today we'll be talking about flask-login. Flask-login is one of the tool we'll be using. So I will show you the flask-login extension. So I've moved my operating system. I've changed it to Linux, because I am not really a big fan of Windows, so I have to go back to what I feel comfortable with. So you can just type flask-login on Google and read the documentation for more explanation. But if you have any issues, comments down below and ask a question. So the first step you have to do is to install flask-login by typing pip install flask-login in your command prompt or your terminal. If you are on Windows, that will be command prompt. If you're on Linux, that will be your terminal. I've already installed this. I don't think I have to do this again. Okay. Oh, that means I've not installed it before. So now I've installed flask-login on my computer. So now I can now start making use of it. So I've prepared some basic stuff that will be needed. I have this database, and I have this stuff that I created. So what are we going to be doing in here today? We'll create a sign up page where user can sign up on our platform, and then we'll have a login page where user can log in, and then if they log in successfully, we need to check if their information is valid, and once it's valid, we can now log them in and start and save their session into the backend. So flask-login is a tool, is an extension in Flask that gives you that handle the user session management and user authentication management. So I'll create a new folder here, regular, the way we used to have it, template. So I'll have the index.html file. So I'll quickly type a simple HTML, and I will give it a form for our sign up. We'll have input, which will be text. We'll give it a name, equals to name. Let's have a placeholder. Enter your name. Input, enter your password. this one will take in the password. And this will go for placeholder. Enter your password, and we forgot to add email. Input name equals to email. Placeholder will be email. So we are taking the user physical address, not let's make it a text area. Oh, sorry about that. So I'll call this placeholder. Enter your address, and then name will be address. Okay, so we need to let's leave this blank for now. So let's run our app. Okay, so you just have to type python main.py. Alright, so we have this running. Okay, so let's see. Let's visit the IP address, which is running on which port? 80,000. So it's running on port 80,000. So login. Sorry, localhost. Port 80,000. Okay, so this is our form. This is our creepy form. So we need to add something cool. Let's break this. Go back to the HTML. Break the RBR. Okay. BR and BR and BR. Okay, fine. And BR and BR. Alright, so let's, oh sorry, I didn't do it right here. Okay, so we'll have input, will now be submit, let's have value, sign up. Okay, so we can now go back to our, oh sorry, now go back to our creepy form. Alright, let me just give it each one. Welcome to sign up page. Alright, fine. Okay, now we have this guy, so we just need to post it to our backend, the information. So I will create a route that will handle this. Say app.route. Let's call this process. The process. So we need to request for name and a request. So to be able to request, we need to import request. And then we need to specify the HTTP method. So the method equals to post, because here we will only be posting here. So name will be request dot form name. Remember, we have our form called name here. Okay, we will request for that. Save the value to a variable name called name. Have email. So request dot form email. Okay, so what do we have? We have the address, we have the password. So we'll request for password. Just to request dot form. I made a mistake here. Request dot form password. Okay, now the address now goes to request. You can just do this on the go, but I just want it to be more easier. So it will now be request address. Okay, now we have these ready. So let's save this information to the database. So let's create an object name, a variable name called new user equals to users, the name of the class that we have declared here. If you don't know what this is, you can check my former lecture, Introduction to Flask SQL Alchemy. You see what I mean by this. This is how to create a table in Flask SQL Alchemy. So we'll say name equals to name, and email equals to email, and password will be equals to password, and address will be equals to address. Alright, so let's save this. We have an object name called db. So db.session db.session.add new user, and db.session.commit. Commit means save. Then we'll return a generic message saying welcome, sign up complete. Sorry. Okay, so let's go and test it. Before we can test it, we need to tell the system, tell the front end, the HTML to submit to this route. So we'll go to our HTML, we'll specify the method will be post, and action will be this is from Ginger. Okay, alright, then we can save now. We'll come here, so let's reload the page. Alright, so we have reloaded the page successfully. So I will write my name, Abdul Karim. email address, my password will be 111, and my address will be Nigeria, Lagos. Alright, so I'll sign up. Saying user is not defined, so I made the mistake. It's supposed to be users, not user. Alright, this is the name I use, and need to put S here. Remember, Python is very case sensitive. It's very sensitive to everything when it comes to its rules. So we have to follow Python rules. So that's the name I call my class, users, my database model. Okay, let's go back, reload. We have the information. Oh, saying the password is invalid keyword. So what does that mean by this? That means the name that I use here does not reflect to any name here. Fine. That means I didn't have a column called password. So let's create password. Let's do db dot column db dot string. Okay, so once we have this, we need to drop our database once again. Remember how we did this in our former introduction to Flask SQL Alchemy? So this is how to drop a database. Once you have made changes to your column, you have to drop it and recreate it once again. Though there is alternative of doing this, so I'll call Python 3 from main, import db dot drop double haul. Then now we can create db dot create double haul. Fine. So I think we are good to go now. Just have to clear this and let's run the code once again. Okay. Let's reload the page. Alright. So let's sign up once again. Wow. Now it's working. We are able to sign up. So let's create the login page. So on your web app, most web app usually have three things in common: the sign up page, the login page, and the dashboard page. So we'll create the login page now. At app.route login. So in the sign up route, which is what we call the process, that route is the one signing up user, is the one saving users information to the database. But the login will be the one to check if the user wants to log in. You click on the login page on your website. Then once they enter the username and password, this page has to be the one to confirm, to check, to authenticate the user if this information is existing in your database and the information is valid. Then they can now see your dashboard. So I will call this login. Okay. So what are we going to use to authenticate user? We'll use email address. So before let's just render a template. Let's return render template login dot html. Okay, so let's let's come to our template. Our template here. Let's create a new folder, a new file. We'll call this file login.html. So we'll say html form input placeholder and email address. Okay, now we have this here now. So the next thing is for the password field, where the user can enter their password. So this field will be password, and the placeholder, this will be enter your password. Boom. Okay, all right, we have this, and we have input once again. This time this will be submit, value will be login. All right, so let's break this to avoid okay. So let's go back to our main.py and let's check this template. If this template is working, I'm very sure it will be working. So say login. Fine. Now you can see what you have here. So let's go back to our HTML. Type has to be submit. Let's reload. Okay, and we have our login form here now. Let's go back to our main.py. So we need to check. We are going to use two types of methods here. Two types of HTTP methods. We'll be using post and get. So we need to specify we are taking in two methods for this route. Okay. So we are taking get. At the same time we are taking post. So we need to check if the request that is coming in, request dot method is equals to post. Okay, then we need to ask for the user email address and password. So we'll say email equals to request dot form email, then we'll have the password equals to request dot form password. Okay, so let's check if we have this name in our HTML content. So we don't have it, so we need to specify them. Name will be email, password, so we have name equals to password, and we save. Okay, fine. So the next thing now is to check if the information the user will be providing us is valid in our database, so we can authenticate them. So to be able to do that, we have two ways. We'll first create a dummy ways of authenticating user. So we will have to query our database and check if the user exists or not. Alright, so first, before I use the if statement, let's create a variable name. So user equals to user.query user.query.filter. This is I need to explain this. Okay, this is an SQL statement. We are using Flask SQL Alchemy to query the database now. So we'll be querying the database with .first. So it's just like saying in our traditional SQL statement, saying select from where it equals to the user input, or for those technology. So the same thing is here, but the different from the normal traditional SQL statement and the ORM is that ORM is wrapped around SQL. So we don't really do normal SQL statement, structured query language directly. Is wrapped around the Flask SQL Alchemy. So we'll go filter by email. Remember, we have a column in our database, so the first arguments that will come in will be the name of the column you want to query and the value you want to use to query them. So the value you want to use to query the column will be what will be next, which will be what will be in front of this equals to. So we are still doing the same thing. So we are querying this column called email here. We are calling that column here, and then we are querying the column with this variable name called email. So any value the user type in here will come here and checkmate here. If the match, that means the user exists, the user has signed up. So once it is matched first. Okay, so if this is true, so we'll say if user, so this means if this is true, then let's check the password. So say let's check if the password is also correct. So since we have this variable user has saved every information belongs to this column called email. So now we can now use this object name to check. So user.password, so we can now use this object name to check the password that belongs to this email address. So now we can now checkmate it with the one coming from the fresh one coming from here, this variable that we have up here. So we say if user.password is equals to password, then return welcome so let's concatenate user.name. Okay, so if this is correct, it should tell the user that they are highly welcome. But if this is wrong, the username or the email is wrong, so we can have else here. So return invalid email or password. Okay, so now let's test our code. Now we'll reload this. Remember, I signed up in the past. Let's use password is 111, so let's log in. Fine. Now we're having this issue, so we need to tell our HTML form the method we are using is post. The action, where I mean the URL to submit to, the URL on the bar, the endpoint name, login. So I'll type login here, URL for login. Then we save. Once we save that, let's go back and load this. Alright, so let's see if this user has already signed up. Okay, so we still have the same mistake that I did. I forgot to put S in front of users, so I'll have to come back here. Let's put S. Okay, then okay, so 111 as the password, and we save, we send. Okay, now you can see I'm able to log in successfully. So this is what we just did with our normal our normal SQL Flask SQL Alchemy and our Python skills, just like that. Alright, so let's add a page, another route. This route will be the dashboard of the user, but first, before I go to the dashboard, let me quickly add a hyperlink here that will be taking user to login. Click here to login. Okay. So now if I click here now, I can now, okay, so if user signed in successfully, let's quickly test. Let me enter the wrong password. I just enter something generic. Let's do it again. Now you can see we have invalid email or password. Okay. So you can just, so the next thing, we can just leave this for now. So we'll be talking about the dashboard. So as I said earlier, in most web apps there are three common things: the sign up page, the login page, and the dashboard. The dashboard is a protected page whereby if user did not sign up and have an account on the platform, the user cannot use the dashboard. So now we need to create a dashboard account, a dashboard route. So I'll create a new route. Okay, so I'll call this dashboard. Okay, then I will call this endpoint name will also be dashboard. Alright, so why don't we have a little design for our dashboard, or we can let's just leave it for now. So we'll return render template dashboard.html. So we need to create this HTML in our template directory in dashboard.html. Okay. Let's just create a new HTML. Let's call this, let's have it h1 in welcome to the dashboard. Alright, so we also have a place where the user can log out. Let's make it h2. Let's just have a link. This place will be logout. Alright, so what is the main reason why we need authentication in our web apps? The main reason we really need authentication is to protect the pages. The pages we want users to be able to access. We need to restrict users to visit some certain pages. The only way for them to be able to access the page is when they have signed up. So that is why we need authentication. We need to authenticate. We need to authorize these users that, okay, you have the permission to use this platform. So to be able to do that, we need to use a Flask extension called flask-login, which I've already talked about in the beginning. So I'll come to the code here and navigate to my process, to my login. So instead of showing this, instead of returning the generic content, we need to redirect the user to the dashboard. So we'll call return redirect. So to be able to use redirect, we need to import redirect. We import some couple of things from Flask. So we import redirect and we'll import URL for. So those are the two things that we need for now. So I'll call redirect URL for dashboard. So make sure you use the name of your endpoint, not the name you give to your route, the name of your endpoint. So I will advise you, as you are watching this video tutorial, make sure you are practicing along with me. So you can comment down below. I will reply you instantly if you have any questions. Alright, so we'll come here, call the dashboard. So let me see if I didn't make name. Okay, so now let me go back home. I will log in. I will enter my password, my email address and my password. Let me log in now. Okay, I know I made a mistake of spelling error, so here I'm supposed to put H dashboard. Fine. Okay, let me go back, enter my password once again, and then hit the login button. Alright, now it says welcome to the dashboard. Now if I want to log out, but if I didn't really log in, anybody can just come to my website and visit /dashboard, and they will log in and it will display dashboard for them without being authenticated and without their session being active. So how do we check for active session, and how do we authenticate user? So we'll be making use of Flask login. So I've explained what Flask login is. So once you have installed Flask login with your pip, so you need to import Flask login. So from Flask on the login. Okay, and we need to import a couple of things that we'll be making use of. We need the login manager. This is the function that will manage the login. We need the user mixin. This is one that will be handling the session and user mixin. Okay, we need the login user. We need the login required. This login required will be the one to protect our page for us, and we need current user. This one will be the current user, will be the one to get information from the current logged in user. So you'll see how to make use of all this information, all these functions, one after the other. Alright, so let's go. First, we need to set up our Flask login to be able to make use of it. So to be able to do that, let's come here. Okay, so let's create an object name saying login with the bar manager. To create manager equals to login manager. Okay, login manager, and so we need to call something again from login manager object login manager dot init. We need to initialize the app object init app. Remember, we have declared our global context here. Okay, so now we need to point to the login view. The login view, what do we mean by login view? For example, you restrict a user from accessing a page. So whenever the user is trying to access the restricted page, the login view will be the one to undo this. It will redirect the user back to the login page, so that the user will know that you have to log in before you can access this restricted page. So if you log in, then you can access it. So this system that we are building will give you a kind of user management. You'll be able to manage your user and have control over the way they visit the pages. You can monitor, you can track, you can do a lot more with this. depends on your creativity and your logic. Okay, so we'll have login on the bar manager. Okay, dot login view. So I have login on the bar view. Okay, and now which page do we want them? Do we want the app to redirect them to if they want to visit a restricted page? Okay, where's the page? It's the login page that we'll create here. Okay, so I'll come here, put this here. Alright, login. So once we have done this, the next thing for us is to create the user loader. The user loader will be the one to be like a counter for the amount of user that comes in, keep them in the kind of with ID, give each user that comes in a unique identity, and do some other crazy stuff. So let's have that under here, because we'll be referencing to the database. So login manager dot user loader, we'll call this decorator, say at loader. Okay, alright, so once we have done this, we'll call div load on the bar user. Let's give it a parameter on the bar user ID. Okay, then we'll say return user dot query for user dot query dot get int user ID. So the parameter we'll pass here is what we'll be getting here. Okay, we'll be using this to get the unique identity of each logged in user. Then this will do the miracle, generate. You don't have to worry about the low level part. Okay, so once we are able to achieve this properly, so we need to do something. So we need to do something more interesting. Okay, so so we'll come to our login, our login route. So if all this information is valid, if all this information is accurate, then we need to authenticate the user. So to authenticate user, we import something. When we are importing this, so this is where we'll make use of this. Oh, I skipped something. So to be able to relate this user loader to this table, we need to pass in user mixing to this user mixing. Cool. Once we pass this, then this user can work with this user. Okay, so I forgot to put s users. Alright, so once we have done that too, so we'll make use of login user. Login user is what we use to authenticate. Once we call login user, this is what we use to authenticate user in our project, in our login. So we'll come here, I'll say if all this information is valid, then we'll call the login user in bracket with login user again. If this is done, that means the user have successfully logged in without any issue. So that means we have saved every information belongs to this user, every information is on this row. We have saved it here. You understand that? Okay, so if you have any question, just comment down below. Alright, so let's test this out. How do we know if the user is authenticated? Now we can quickly do something. we need to protect this page. So to be able to protect it, I'll call the login required function, is it the decorator? I'll call it here, this that I import here. Okay, so once I save this page, the dashboard is now protected. So let me come back here, let me reload. Now, okay, we forget to set the secret key. We forget to set the secret key for our app, for our project. So what's a secret key? Secret key is a kind of a key that is meant to be secret to you, or you can even make it such a way you yourself won't know the key, to be completely anonymous. Only the machine would know it, the secret key. This secret key is what flask-login will use to verify your system if this is secure or not. So if you are somebody is trying to attack you, hack your platform, this is one of the security that Python and Flask provide. So that's why Flask is very, very highly secure. Python generally is secure. So come back here. Say app.config. Say secret. I don't want to spell it wrong. Say secret key. Okay, and secret will be secret. Just make it anything you wish. Alright, so let's come back here. So let me try and visit dashboard. Now you can see I can't access dashboard anymore. Now it's saying something here. You can see now I need to log in. If I try to access dashboard again, I won't be able to access it. Let's do it again. So dashboard. You can see the dashboard page is protected because we put this decorator here. That means before a user can access the dashboard, they need to log in. We have protected the dashboard. The dashboard is protected now. Okay, cool. This is interesting. So what's the next thing for us to do? The next thing for us to do, okay, is to log in and test our code. Alright, so let's test our code. Let me log in. Wow, fine. Now you can see I can access this. So if I visit dashboard now, I can access my dashboard. That means I'm logging and I'm valid, I'm authenticated. Alright, so let's see how we can hard log out. So to be able to hard log out, we still need to import some stuff from flask-login again for us to be able to access logout. So we'll import logout user, log out user. Okay, so once we have this, so we can just come here, create a route, so add route, add app.route logout, and we'll say div, the name of the endpoint will be logout. Then to be able to log user out, we need to call the function that we import here. Okay, so this function, Okay, so I'll just paste it. Okay, so if we have done this, we just have to return you have successfully you have logged out. Let's just put you have logged out. So if this is displayed, let's just add some HTML tag. Let me copy this code, this HTML code. Okay. To go to the home page. Okay, so now let's try and visit logout route. Now I've logged out. You have logged out. Let me try and visit dashboard if I'll still be able to visit it. Fine, my session has been deleted. So whenever I logged in, my session is active. Whenever I log out, my session is deactivated. You understand? So let me try and do this. 111. Log in once again. I have this. So let's try and tell this place where it will take us to. So I'll come to dashboard and just put URL for log out. Okay, so we just have to reload. And this guy is saying ginger to exception, log out, blah blah blah, and let's see what we have done that is making it crying. See, because we didn't put this and this. Okay, so let's reload. Alright, so we're in the dashboard. Now we can log out. Can go back to the home page. Okay guys, this is for today's class. Next, we'll be talking about how to get information from this session, display users' name once they log in from the session, and then remember at the end of this course we're able to develop a payment solution system. For example, something like Paystack. We won't add all the sending real money, but at the end, if you like, you can pick up the project up and use it to develop your own portfolio or your own personal project at the end. So that is what we'll be doing. This is purely basic. We are trying to make this class available for beginners and advanced. So see you guys in the next class, and happy new year to you all.